the government is not necessarily a hotbed of innovation and agility, but they are good at raising money through taxes, right? So if with the right private-public partnerships, NASA can, if it takes its role, and I know the current administrator, Mr. Bridenstine, is very focused on this. If NASA has its role, but we let private companies take their role, then we can really move forward and kind of move out of the paradigm of kind of big, giant, slow-moving programs. You can actually have innovation and things move a lot faster. Winston Churchill had a great quote. The end of the beginning. He was talking about every quote you've ever heard, by the way, is attributed, I think, to Winston Churchill. He was talking about the war, but I think we're at the end of the beginning of human spaceflight. The beginning was Yuri Gagarin and Apollo and space station, which were all, this is why we're all did what we did. Those things were amazing. But I think there's going to be a different future, I hope, one that is a lot more innovative, and private companies are good at that, because if they don't innovate and they don't do new things better than the other guy, they go out of business. And that's how we're really going to do, I think, exciting things in the future.
But what about the fact that the administration is trying to put forth a sixth military branch, the U.S. Space Force? And you guys are smiling right now. Why are you smiling? Can you tell me why?
I was sitting this far from the president when he made that announcement.
Okay.
I was at the Space Council talking about our human spaceflight program, and as I was walking in, a friend of mine texted me and said, "You should be in charge of Space Force." And I kind of chuckled. I didn't know what he was talking about. I didn't know what he was talking about. And then, a little while later, I'm sitting at the meeting getting ready to talk about Gateway and other things, and he made the announcement. I'm a big supporter of it. I've written op-eds in favor of it. We already have a Space Force, and we've had one for 50 years. The military has been involved in space activities ever since the 1960s. It's a much bigger chunk of money than what NASA gets. It's just divided up between the Air Force, Navy, Army, and other agencies. And we're all pilots and we're all flew in space. Space is not airplanes. The equipment's different, the people are different, the domain's different. And I think in the same way that the Air Force had to come out of the Army, even though we had just won World War II, in 1947 they wrenched the Air Force out of the Army and created a separate service. No one complains about that today. No one talks about Harry Truman's Air Force. It's just the Air Force because it makes sense. Mm-hmm. I think in the future, people will talk about the Space Force just because it makes sense, because it's so different than everything else. And by the way, so is cyber. Cyber is not air, cyber is not land, cyber is not sea, it's its own domain. So I think we ought to have a cyber organization and a space organization, not to become bigger and to go out and beat our chests and militarize space, hopefully to make things more efficient, because we're spending such a huge amount of money in space, or on the military in general. We need to figure out how to do that more efficiently. And if you combine things and reduce duplication, hopefully that can help out.